So there is this thought that is in my head that I can't or won't or shouldn't deny, that says that, let's see. Okay, that's probably better. That I'm just too open-minded for my own good. And even I am skeptical of this thought, especially when I put it in that words. Yeah, he's just too open-minded for his own good, just too willing to consider alternatives. But I'd like to ask you if it's possible. I'd like to ask you, future me. God, damn these Jimmy Johns. Sure. Fuck. How many of my recordings are these stupid JJ's adverts? I can't do this. Is it possible that someone is literally obsessed with finding out the truth? Like a capital T truth seeker. Overly good at using objective reasoning and like stuff like the scientific method to investigate these capital T truths. And nowhere near emotionally strong enough to handle them. Why couldn't I have just gotten into conspiracy theories? Why couldn't I have just become an Alex Jones? Bet you never thought you'd hear that before. You think you'd ever meet such a miserable, twisted fucking soul that they wish they had become Alex Jones? Most people who read Quinn and Chomsky are just honest with themselves. Their brain is honest with itself. And they uptake what they can. Most people, when they look at the world, when they read anything like that, Gene Lidloff, any of that stuff. Most people, when they investigate, I think most people's brains are just honest with themselves. The brain is honest with itself, and it accepts what it can handle. And mine didn't. I don't know. Do you ever feel like you're just being, even if you're an atheist, just feel like you're being tested by something? I guess for you it's not God, but it's... Am I just being tested? Am I strong enough? Is the fact that I see the things that I think I see proof that I'm... that my brain decided I was strong enough to handle it? I mean, apparently I was. I mean, ipso facto. I took it in. I looked at it. I feel like I have not a unique, but like a semi-unique, a rare understanding of Quinn and the meaning of his work. And I feel like one of the rules of thumb, it's, if you want to know whether or not you understand Quinn, the question is, do you understand why others don't understand it? Same rule of thumb with Chomsky. Can you at least intellectualize about why other people don't understand this stuff? It's too disturbing. The truth is too disturbing. It's almost analogous to, imagine if instead of having this subconscious, you just suddenly, the barrier was gone and you had access to all of your thoughts, and how disturbed you would be, right? Every other girl that's past 12 that you see, if you're a male, you totally want a boner. All the other males that you see, that maybe you like really wish you could hug and love them. All the people that you would project a daddy thing onto, all the people you'd project a mommy thing onto. All the people you'd happily dispatch to get them out of your way, maybe. All the evil thoughts and all the good thoughts. All the people that you love, all the desperation, all the neediness, all the clinginess, all the animality. It kind of feels like that. Cultures are there to protect our psyches the same way the subconscious conscious barrier is there to protect your sanity. I've always said, I feel like reading Quinn broke me out of this culture like maybe 2 or 10%. And that's enough to alienate me from everyone. But that's also an identity, a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it is astounding the number of men and people who aren't men also. But I feel like in particular, it's astounding the number of men who feel intellectually isolated. Isolated precisely by their ability to see what's going on. And then I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of women feel isolated by their ability to see what's going on. And if it was that men on the whole were, and this might be more of a temperament divide, like the introverts and the extroverts. It might be better to speak of introverts as being more like women and extroverts as being more like men. But either way, these are going to just be shifts, not necessarily like all the men and all the women. No, it's just like, I feel like more men are going to feel more isolated from the seeing of what's going on at the society level, and more women, and maybe it's more introverts, not women, so I could be wrong, but more isolated by seeing what's going on at the personal, the interpersonal level. Because I just feel like between those two things, that's a lot of people. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 20 or 30 or 50 or 80%, depending on how you define it, of the humans in our society. Ironically enough, if 80% of people feel totally isolated, which I think arguably they do, between either being able, whether deludedly or not, to see, just by seeing what's going on, you feel so isolated. Either you're seeing what the whole people are doing kind of objectively, like you're stepping back and you're being more autistic-y with it, or you're seeing interpersonally, you're being more empathetic with it. You're seeing what's going on. You're just watching these people just hurt themselves and each other, just missing the cues, just ignoring all the signs, just not listening. Me and my ex were like that. More and more I try and learn from the fact that we could have been a very potent, powerful partnership. She's got the empathy. She could have seen all the missing interpersonal. It's like, for her, it's like she's just got X-ray vision. She can just see what's going on between people that most people don't see. And then me, I've got the more objectifying, the more autistic-y. I can just see what's, the power games that people are playing, and the bigger social dynamics, more than most people can see. Because I can see people get disturbed by my pointing out of it. They get really defensive and really uncomfortable. I'm like, God, could you just stop being uncomfortable for a second so that I can stop feeling lonely and crazy? But yeah. So fucking lonely. Because people like me, we're blind, we can't see the things we're doing to push people away so they don't listen more, because we don't have the interpersonal X-ray vision. And then the people like Michelle, my ex, don't know how to pull people in, don't know how to, kind of also can't see, but instead of being blind to the empathetic interpersonal side, are more blind to the, it's almost like people like me are blind to love and people like her are blind to hate. But it's not hate. That's not it. That's not right. People like me are blind to love and hate. People like her are blind to economics, mechanics, just the animal. It's like she could just never see the shit she was doing to just gain a PowerPoint, to just engineer. She was always engineering just as much as anybody, but she couldn't see it because she was so busy focused on like energy, you know? And then I was always so busy focused on the engineering that I would forget to drop it and stop being mechanical and transactive and just focus on the energy, just be there with someone, you know? She could never just step back and be objective and like control herself, step back from her emotions. And then it turned into such an incredibly toxic sore spot for her that I would always step back and control my emotions and be all objective, which rightly felt like abandoning her and was never even true anyway. It's never fully true. Like no one's truly objective. There's always, I mean, I think it's true that most of what hurts someone when you step back and you get into your more objective place is the very fact that you emotionally abandoned them. So stop trying to fight with them about how like true it is and start recognizing that the more you're really doing it, the more it's hurting. That's not a coincidence. It is because you're really doing it. And then there's even the question of why. Now that's where there's no true objectivity. Why you suddenly abandoned emotionality and became a more objective thinker at that particular moment is guaranteed almost always. It's going to come down to you were afraid of something. You were actually afraid. You were actually afraid of, in a word, your own feelings. You know, so every time I would start to get upset, and instead of just getting upset, I would like get distant. I can understand now why that hurt her so much. It would have been way more authentic in a way to just get upset. You know, just be like, oh, fuck, you're not fucking listening, and it makes me hate you. I can't have this conversation. That would have been so much better than like going like, yes, but don't you think it makes more sense that this, that, and the other, and just being all like rational? Because the better I was at stepping back and being rational, the more I was just attacking her and not admitting my faults and not admitting my vulnerability. Like, it's like false calmness, false adulthood, false maturity. That's what it is. Because it's trying to be invulnerable. And what you really want from the other person is vulnerability. And then you don't offer it. All I ever really wanted from her was not to have a more logical and rational conversation from me. I wanted that, but I was in denial of what I wanted even more, much more than that, which was her vulnerability, her truth. But where was mine? Where was my deep, crippling fear that no one was ever going to understand my objective logic? Let alone appreciate me for turning myself into a fucking sociopath for the sake of achieving said logic. Because Chomsky didn't have to like hurt himself to become Chomsky, but I did, and it pisses me off. I feel like I made a lot of like sacrifice, kind of, and it became egoic, and it can be convenient You know, it can be very defensive, as I just pointed out, to be all like, just step back from your feelings and be all like more purely logical. Especially, again, the better you are at doing it, really denying your feelings and really being more logical. Yes, the more rational and logical you'll be, and that can have its use, of course. But B, the more you're in denial of your feelings. It's not like you're not having them. That's the big fallacy. Humans don't have feelings. All reasoning is emotional reasoning. Trust me. Even the best philosophical logic, even math. I mean, okay, math isn't quite emotional reasoning. I suppose there is a level where you get to where it's like math. It's like it doesn't care about your feelings. But what you use it for is always going to be affected by, you know. Anyway, yeah. It kind of was a sacrifice too, to like turn myself into. Guys, we do this a lot. A lot of women do this too. More and more women are doing this too. Turn ourselves into fucking sociopathic, narcissistic assholes for the sake of actually discovering a little capital T rational, logical truth about society level patterns. And then we do that a lot to like give. We want to like help a lost people. We see a lot of people being emotional, just kind of like, no, you're right. No, I'm wrong. No, I'm right. I mean, I said that wrong. No. And then we try and, you know, give them some distant, like, be as, you know, in my case, Chomskyan as we can, like, just, like, I think he's just naturally got, like, a autistic savantism where he can just really be crazily, inhumanly logical, but, you know, we try and do that. Sam Harris is a good example. I give Sam Harris too much shit, because he's trying to do that. He tries to do that. He's trying to do that. People give him a lot of shit for it. All the new atheists, they're trying to do that. I get that now. That's why they're so dogmatically atheistic. They're trying to like step back and be purely rational. And that's what I mean when I say that there is no unemotional rationality. You look into, you know, the new atheism, and it turns out to be totally religionistic in character and not very rational after all. So that's actually a pretty good example. Scientism is irrational rationality. It's too much in denial of the human aspect. The person isn't facing their own humanity, looking at all their little biases. But yeah, to just I need to be honest though. I won't be a martyr if I'm truly honest, and I recognize that I didn't do that to help everyone else turn myself into this emotionally retarded, rational thinker. I didn't teach myself self-imposed autism for everyone else nearly as much as I did it for myself. It was my survival strategy. I did it so that I could make it. I did it because I felt too rejected. I did it because I felt too unloved. I did it because of all the stuff Gene Lidloff taught us. Because I was divided against myself. Because I was a standard human. Ironically enough, I isolated myself from my very normalcy. I was insecure, and I didn't want to be one of you normal, regular, insecure folks. So I made myself worse. I don't recommend it. Stick with the fellow humans. Only become as rational as you can be while still being sane. Only become an activist to the extent that you can do so without becoming a sociopath. I don't know if that last one was a connect. We'll see. Good luck.